Okay. Most of us in this room who are seniors are about to graduate and move away from our families in a few months. We're going to live on our own for the first time. For me personally, and maybe for some or most of you, we will be forced to make decisions on our own without having our parental consent at our fingertips. In the United States, about 19% of men and women are diagnosed with alcoholism. That may not sound like a lot, but that does not include the people who are still in denial and still don't even realize how much alcohol has taken a toll on their lives. So this is how I'm gonna kind of go through it. I have like 4 sections. We'll do an introduction, some culture, effects, and solution. How we can help the problem. Okay, there are a lot of things to consider when talking about subject of alcohol. There are different ways to go about this topic, but I'm going to start by covering some important definitions for us to understand to the best of our ability. One of the very first questions I had when starting my research was, what is the definition of alcohol? Or what is the definition of an alcoholic? How much does it take for one to develop the abuse of alcohol? An alcoholic is someone who has a condition that is characterized by physical dependence on alcohol and an inability to stop or limit drinking. Now that we know what an alcoholic is, we need to discuss what is considered abuse of alcohol. It's an emotional dependence on alcohol, whether one becomes angry when they don't have alcohol in their system, or even if they cry in bursts of sadness from withdrawal. To demonstrate both of these definitions, I have a clip of someone who is struggling severely.
Hey, sunshine. About time to get here. How are you? I'm good. I came to Jackie's so I could try to help her not get wasted so she's able to get up in the morning and go to her son's graduation tomorrow. You're like the best friend ever. Oh. My plan is to try to keep her busy so she's not concentrating so much on seeing her ex and all that stress that goes along with that. I just want the day to be good for everyone. And I don't want you to be overly stressed, you know? I'm not going to be. I'm going to be fine. I want to see my son graduate. I know you do. I'm going to. And he's asked me if I'm coming. So, he's doubting that I'm even coming tomorrow. I don't want to disappoint him any more than I've already done. I'm going to get another glass of wine. It just concerns me what it's doing to your body. It's fine, Ray. I'm just looking out for you. I'm good. Not right now, you're not. Well, I am. How are you going to be tomorrow morning? I'm going to be fine. She's drunk, and if she continues drinking, I won't allow her to go to the graduation because she can't go and embarrass her son in front of his whole entire class and family. Counting on you. Well, you're staying here tonight. I know. So what's gonna go wrong?
When I'm away from the house, I always think about her, because I know she can make some pretty bad decisions when she's under the influence.
Cheers. Almost 8 o'clock in the morning. After everyone left last night, she got very irate with me when I picked up the smaller camera to try to videotape. I can't even do my normal thing. You're constantly filming me. You know, it is 12:15. If you go to sleep, then I can't film you anymore. Stop! Then her friend was texting her. She used to date him when we were teenagers. And before I knew it, they were in the bedroom. And I was out here. And I had to sit and listen to it.
Okay, so further on in the video, it just goes to show that the friend has to wake up Jackie in the bed with this other man that came over late in the middle of the night, and she refuses to get up, but she needs to go get ready for her son's graduation, so it's kind of sad. The purpose of watching this clip was to help you all get a better understanding of what only just one example of an alcoholic can look like. To summarize, Jackie has her son's graduation in the morning. In order for her to be on her best behavior, she had one of her closest friends stay with her to keep her from drinking more than she would on her own. As you can see, even her friend tried her hardest to keep her from pushing her limits. Okay. From the video, you saw that she had at least 2 to 3 glasses of wine, and that was only on camera. So there is a difference. You have binge drinking and heavy drinking. It's also always going to be a little different with female and males just because of body weight and different things going on in the body. So for males, you can see kind of the difference. It's all around the same, but binge drinking is typically within like one event, so like a dinner or maybe just going out with friends. So that's all within a certain time period. And then heavy drinking is drinks counted within a week. So pulling from my research, only 5 ounces of wine can add up to around 12% of alcohol, which is only considered one drink. Take what you want from that, but Jackie has already consumed the limitations for almost half the drinks per week one has as a heavy drinker. Another thing for us to look at while learning about abuse of alcohol is where it even came from. Throughout the Bible, we've read passages talking about wine being drank at dinners. One specific moment that comes to my mind is in John chapter 2, where Jesus turned water into wine. This passage demonstrates the Creator's power and how he's the only one who can physically change a substance at the tip of his tongue. Alcohol has also been used as different forms of medicine in our history and still even used today. 3 different forms include antiseptics, disinfectants, and antidotes. For example, if you don't have soap, you can use hand sanitizer to clean your hands. To effectively kill germs, most hand sanitizers have at least 60% of alcohol in them. Yes, people have become addicted to hand sanitizer to try to fill their void with, if they can't afford alcohol, they'll start drinking hand sanitizer bottles, which is really bad for you, so don't do that. Other examples of alcohol being used in history include treating colds and fevers, and they even use it to sedate women when giving birth, back when we didn't have all the medicines that we have today. Maybe you guys have also used isopropyl alcohol, which is like when you get a cut on your leg, you pour it on, stings really bad, right? So there's just a few ways how far and how many different ways that we can use alcohol. Okay, moving on to culture. Last semester we talked about what culture is and what we should do about it, straight from Mr. Satterfield's slides. 4 things make up the type of person you are: what you believe, choices, how you live, and habits. All of these things can be taken into consideration on how you live your life while including alcohol. You guys may recognize some of these things, maybe a Borg, also known as a blackout rage gallon, which is extremely bad for you, but it's become a thing that kids do in colleges, at college and at college parties. Maybe you've heard of a frat party, people going out and just basically having the goal to get wasted. And then here's another picture at a family dinner. So whether it's a family reunion, a wedding, the dinner table, and mainly all around college campus, alcohol is most of the time present. I don't know if y'all's parents drink in front of you, but it is said that around 52% of moms say that they drink openly in front of their kids. Culturally, it is something that is deemed as normal in our society. Even drinking underage, which happens in college and even in high school, in this high school, it has even been a problem. It is said to bring the life of the party. So whether you participate in this act or not, it is still around you. You may be asking, like, okay, yes, it seems normal, but if you look at further consequences, such as getting minor possession charged, getting pulled over for reckless driving, and even getting into an accident and taking someone's life because you thought that you could handle the pressure of getting home. I don't know why I'm tearing up, it's just sad. Hold on. Okay, you thought that you could get home without your parents knowing that you were drinking alcohol, or you were at a party where others and yourself were consuming alcohol. All of this sneaking around, I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. All this sneaking around when you aren't even legal to consume alcohol can lead to serious consequences, such as spending the rest of your life in prison because you decided to go to a party where your friends claimed it was all fun and games. Okay, you need to calm down because I'm getting to other stuff. Okay, effects. Yes, that might have been deep, but to show you guys the real impact of alcohol, it's necessary. So it's only one example. Here's some physical and mental ways that it can affect you. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, in 2019, 10,511 deaths occur per year from alcohol-related accidents. I don't know if that seems like a lot, but the CDC states that 30 deaths a day happen from alcohol-related accidents. I'll give you a second to do the math. That's about a death every 50 minutes. Mental effects. So here's sort of the psychological component of it, which is a lot has to do with mental health. Alcohol is a depressant that disrupts the balance of neurotransmitters, also known as chemical messengers, that are in your brain that affect your feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. This is the part of your brain that makes you feel relaxed and less anxious, maybe even more confident. But these effects can wear off quickly and lead your brain to think in a more negative way. And maybe even arouse anger, depression, and anxiety. What makes you want to drink more is when those chemical messengers are unbalanced and you start to get anxious, so you start to develop a codependent relationship with alcohol. Alcohol can go hand in hand with depression and anxiety. It's all a cycle of, I'm feeling anxious or depressed, I'm going to have a drink to relieve it. But like I said, it all wears off eventually, and you're already going to be on the hunt to find another drink. The more you depend on alcohol, the stronger you're going to build your tolerance. Your body's just going to keep relying on alcohol until you get to a point where you don't feel it anymore. There are so many signs or red flags that can point to having a problem with alcohol. So here's some of the short-term effects that someone can notice sooner than they think, like when they're starting to develop an addiction. Alcohol poisoning, sleep problems, bloating, migraines. Other symptoms can include reckless behavior or even aggressiveness. Long-term effects may not occur until later in life, so you may see heart disease, strokes, high blood pressure, liver disease, and cancer. Other effects can occur later in life that don't relate to your organs, such as relationship issues, unemployment, financial difficulties, which then could also lead to homelessness. All of these things that I've listed could tragically change one's life, and I'm sure that all of us in this room do not want to have any of these problems. So what can we do about it? As any other drug, there are programs such as rehab facilities to help one solve their addiction to alcohol. To talk an alcoholic into going to rehab, it can be extremely difficult, mainly because the hard part for the alcoholic is accepting the fact that they're abusing a substance that is ruining their life. The main source that is available to everyone is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, also known as the SAMHSA. This is a national helpline. It's confidential, it's free, 24-hour a day, 365-day a year information service for people not just suffering from alcohol, but other substances and even mental disorders. This service provides referrals to local treatment facilities, support groups, and community-based organizations. A recovery center near us called the Phoenix Center is an outpatient resource center that has several different programs that meet the needs of most patients. They offer a detoxification program that offers help to those who are struggling from withdrawal. To be admitted, you must be 18. You have to complete an on-site screening, which is just your health, like how you're doing, and to meet certain medical criteria. So biblical integration. Wine is mentioned several times in the Bible, and as I mentioned earlier, Jesus turning water into wine for a celebration for a wedding. It was meant to be enjoyable, and as a creation of God, we are to respect his laws about it. Also, didn't mention in the United States, the drinking age is 21. Just now realizing that I did not say that, but I think most of us know that. He did not create wine for us to abuse it and act as drunkards. A passage that stood out to me was Proverbs 21. It states, "Wine is a mocker, strong drinker a brawler, and whoever is led astray by it is not wise." The book of Proverbs is closely linked to the wise words of wisdom coming from Solomon's mouth. Chapters 10 through halfway of chapter 22 are subtitled the Proverbs of Solomon. Solomon writes this chapter with hopes that his son will one day learn from his father's mistakes. The whole chapter is very blunt and skips around, as Solomon is trying to take what actually matters to him. So to kind of tie into that, my personal connection. When I started doing research, I sparked a conversation with my grandfather. It's gonna be hard. Not him, his mother, but he had a rough childhood. He lived with his single mom, very small house, smaller than what we live in today. She had a very bad relationship with alcohol. She, without having a husband in her life, she tried filling that void with alcohol. My grandfather can vividly remember at times when he was so embarrassed and ashamed of his mother that he had to think about the life that he would grow up by himself. He did indeed do that. He avoided falling down the wrong path that his mother did and tried to do good for himself. He's always been a man of hard work, starting as a newspaper boy when he was like 8 years old, to working in restaurants, to fighting for our country in the Vietnam War in the late 60s. He eventually married and started a family. Yes, he still had to work hard from there on, but to sum it all up, I wouldn't be here speaking to you about alcoholism if he didn't choose to take the right path. That's it.
Panelists, do you have any comments or questions for you?
Never apologize for being emotionally invested in what you're talking about. I profoundly appreciative of how you balance together. This is my research, this is what I've read, this is what's true, and your genuine transparency with how much you care. That's really tough to do. That's a tricky line to navigate. You walked it beautifully. So well done.
Thank you.
What in your research, like you mentioned this, I just want to give you a chance to speak to it again.
Yeah.
If you have any other details, like on a practical level, where is a line in someone's life where you're like, these are markers that alcohol is an actual problem you're not going to be able to figure out on your own?
Can you restate that last part again?
Yeah, like, let's
Like what draws the line?
yeah,
is
like
what you're saying?
let's do one step removed from Southside because we're real close to that. But
Yeah.
let's say your freshman year, you have a roommate. What are markers in that roommate's life where you're like, this is bigger than them and they need help that's bigger than you?
I mean, it's very hard, especially when you're a freshman in college, and I think that's why most people would refer as alcoholics. They would refer back to their early college days or late high school. It's very hard, and it's a touchy subject, obviously, because they might not even realize that they have a problem themselves. So I think like being confronting, maybe like if it really, really gets out of hand, with maybe they're dealing with police and subjects like that, I think if their parents don't know, maybe need to have a conversation with their parents, because that might end up in maybe them even getting taken out of school, and maybe need to focus on themselves a little more.
Did you find any, you said 19% of men and women are diagnosed as alcoholics.
Yeah.
Did you find any statistics about teenagers?
No. That's kind of ties into that, kind of, not really. But like, we're at such a young age that it's hard to, I mean, yes, there are specific things that say, like, if you drink this much a week, you are an alcoholic. But it's, like, again, that point where it's, like, the confrontational part. Like, they won't know they have a problem. Like, they may be like, oh, like, I'm drinking a lot. Maybe you might notice some of the short-term effects, like, oh, I need help. But, I mean, I wish I found a percentage on that.
The alcohol
'Cause-
culture thing, I think, is really
Yeah.
significant in what
Yes.
you're talking about. Like y'all getting ready to go to college, people tell you that like this is preparation for the real world, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No, it's not. College is the most removed from the real world experience. It's summer camp for 4 years. There are no rules. There's no like responsibilities. But then you look up and you graduate and you have a problem with alcohol. And now you have to go into the real world like with a real world problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It's such a wild thing. You're absolutely right. When people's problems with this issue typically start around college, and college is like minimal consequences, maximal freedom,
Yeah.
and minimal responsibilities. Like I know college is going to seem wildly more busy, but busy doesn't necessarily mean responsible. Busy doesn't necessarily mean structured. And considering the lack of consequences, the assumption is that the hangover the next day is the only consequence. When you haven't built or forged relationships that are at risk, given alcoholism and all the other stuff. So yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying. And two, it's like it's not a super popular thing to stand up and say, hey everybody, maybe let's not party our brains out the next 4 years. But it's definitely worth saying. Did you come across anything where with the intersection between drinking and then there's all these adjacent issues, driving, work responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I'm just
Like
thinking
impaired,
just thinking in terms of driving.
Yeah.
Did you find any like thing that it's like exponentially more dangerous? Like what's going on there?
I mean, yeah, I don't like that. Have you seen that simulator thing before, where like the drunk goggles? I haven't personally done it myself, but I know some people have. Where you've seen videos of the simulators, like putting the drunk goggles on, and you're like in a situation where you're like sitting behind a wheel, and it's like the vision and you can't like really experience what's going on mentally, but what you're seeing can be very different, and it causes you to be impaired. Like you're on a substance, you're not your normal self, you don't have a normal way to drive. There could be complications, but yeah.
That's our bell, so I'm gonna have to dismiss everybody. Thank you, Eva. One more round of applause.